One of the things that I remember from me growing up, how important it was for my mom to me to be a good person, and that's one of the things I just truly try to put into their lives. Is just second nature, into the DNA.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Life of Dad Show. Here in the Life of Dad Show, we talk with athletes, actors, entrepreneurs, CEOs, musicians, entertainers who've all made a name for themselves, but the one thing that is most important to them is being a dad. On this week's episode of Life of Dad Show Rewind, I'm showcasing the interview I did a few years back with Darius Rucker. This was episode 140 of the Life of Dad Show, and I spoke to Darius about fatherhood, his music, Hootie and the Blowfish, and of course his solo country career. So let's take a look at this rewind edition of the Life of Dad Show with Darius Rucker. Enjoy. Hey everybody, it's Art, Eddy, and on the line. I'm happy and honored to have Darius Rucker, who has a new album coming out called Southern Style, coming out March 31st. Thanks for taking the time, Darius. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Pleasure to talk to you. I'm doing really well. Let's first talk about your new album before we talk about fatherhood, Southern Style. How long did this album take you, and was it similar to past albums?
It took a while, because we were making two albums last year. We were making this record and the Christmas record, so it took a while to get it the way I really wanted, the way that I was happy to turn it in. So, I turned it in 2 days after the very last day I was allowed to turn it in, so I'm hoping it all gets out.
Nice, man. And for fans that love your work, some people will latch onto this song or that song, but for you, I know it's kind of hard to pick, but do you have one song that kind of stands out more than the others on the new album?
Oh, goodness. I love them all, but the title track, I think, is a special song. Southern Style, I think it's a great song. There's a lot. I want to name 10 of them, but I love the record. I think it's going to be fun to see what people that have bought the other records think.
Yeah, nice, man, and I can't wait to check out the whole album. For you, when an inspiration comes for a song, what is the process like from the actual idea when you hear something or when you think about something to actually when it gets maybe not completed, but just kind of written out and you have kind of like a baseline to go from?
It could vary. A lot of times, you'll be riding in the car or talking to somebody, or someone come up and you'll put in your voice memo, and when you get with your buddies to write, when you're looking for an idea, you go, hey man, I got this idea. You come out and you write that. But or it could be, you could be sitting in your house and have an idea, pick up a guitar and have a song in 20 minutes. An hour. So it varies. It really does. It could be any number of ways that any amount of time that could take.
Gotcha. And kind of with the evolution of music, I mean, I think it's always evolving, whether for certain genres it's good or bad, the way it's going. Since you got into the business, are you kind of happy with the way, maybe not even just the music kind of has evolved, but the way the business, where it's like now instead of like CDs and cassettes and all that, people can download on iTunes? Are you kind of cool with the way it's kind of progressed?
I love the technology. I love the idea of the technology. I think it's great. I love how easy it is to actually go buy a song and sure that killed the whole industry of record stores, but it's just a great way to be able to get music. But like any musician artist, the compensation is just that thing that I always say is that when I was in Hootie and the Blowfish, the only reason we did tours was advertisements for our records. And now the only reason you do records is advertising for your tours. Because it's changed so much. It's the nature of the business. I'm not mad at anybody. Life is the way it is. God has blessed me to be able to play music for a living. So, I'm cool.
Nice, man. It definitely comes out in your music. And kind of speaking of just the public, you've done rock, R&B, and country albums. You've successfully in each one. Was the transition kind of hard for you to get into? People go into, they get kind of niched into this category, or that category. But for you, from what I've seen and just following your career, it seems like it's been seamless for you. So, I mean, it looks seamless, but was it?
At first it wasn't. I got real lucky, man. First guy that my manager talked to and talked him to give me a record deal was the president of Capitol Records, who's now the president of Universal. His name's Mike Dungan. He was instrumental in my success. He let me make the record I wanted to make, and said, all right, we got a song. I don't think about it. Let's go see what we can do. And it was a great bunch of guys doing hard work. I went to over 100 radio stations, just getting in the car and driving to 3 or 4 a day. Either driving over that to the next place or getting in the plane the next morning and being in the next city 5 days a week. We were doing that, and it paid off. It was we had a good song, and I had some really important people who got to play my music for me, and that was great.
Nice, man. And one of the things also, too, I think it's very cool is when you're on Mike and Mike on ESPN, the banter you guys have is fantastic. And a lot of people, of course, from the Hootie and Blowfish days know that you're a sports fan. So I got to ask, I'm a Niners fan, and I don't know what's happening with my team right now. It's just imploding. But for you as a Dolphins fan, are you kind of psyched that you guys got Ndamukong Suh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad because I've been a Dolphins fan my whole life. And I've been so many times at the end of free agency, I go, who did we get? Why didn't we get anybody that I want to actually talk about? But getting Sue, we were number 24 against the run last year and number 6 against the pass, and him slowing up the middle makes both of those things a whole lot better.
Nice. Very cool. And now we're going to be switching to fatherhood. Here at Life of Dad, we love to get everybody's take on fatherhood. So for you, what are some of the morals that you kind of look to pass on to your children as they grow up?
The love of God is so important, but that's my kids are great kids, but I always stress just to be good people, be good to others. That's just for me. I always say it's so much easier to be nice than to be a jerk. I say it to my kids all the time. And that's one of the things that I remember from me growing up, how important it was for my mom to me to be a good person, and that's one of the things I just truly try to put into their lives. Is just second nature, into the DNA, and it's better to be nice and help folks than it is to not.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's great advice. If there's more advice like that in the world, I think the world would definitely be a better place. And I get it. I have 2 daughters, 7 and 4, and I say the same thing. The golden rule: treat people like the way you want to be treated is so true.
Exactly.
And speaking of my kids, I try and be a jokester here and there, and like maybe in school I was like the class clown, but my daughters definitely have that trait. So it's always I like asking this question for you with your kids. What are some of the traits that you see or actions that they do, and you're like, yep, they get that from me?
Oh, my kids, all 3 of my kids are hilarious. And not so much. They're funny, but they think that they're hilarious. You know what I mean? And
yep.
So I laugh constantly at them. And the thing that's amazing to me is how 3 of them, all 3 of them can sing. My oldest talked about wanting to sing for a second, but she decided that one for her, and I was like, I was cool with that. Because if they would ask me what I wanted them to do, sing would be the last thing I would want them to do. I mean, I want you, go be an engineer, go be a doctor, go get a real job and get a family and live a great life, But they can all 3 sing.
Nice, man, love it. And before we get into the Life of Dad, quick 5, my last question is: what advice would you give to new dads out there?
Love them, and help out. Like anytime I meet some guy who says I never changed a diaper, I always go, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, and I'm not sitting there going, I'm not trying to say I was the one getting up at 4 because I tried to get up at 4 once, and my wife said, "Why are you getting up?" She wants me. She wants me. She doesn't want you. I was like, "You're right. I'm going back to sleep." But love them and help out. That would be my advice to new guys.
Nice. See, well, at least you put in the effort. It's kind of like going up, like, all right, I'm trying to help out, but all right, I'll go back to bed. Sure, twist my arm, right?
Yeah, if that's what you need me to do, I will go back to bed.
Nice. Here we go with the Life of Dad quick 5. What is your favorite family movie you guys like to watch together right now?
Oh, goodness gracious. Good question. My favorite family movie for me, it would be Elf.
Okay.
I love how much we laugh when we watch that, but I'm sure it wouldn't be for the other folks, but for me, it's Elf.
Nice. And this is kind of hitting close to home to you guys. Is there a favorite song that you guys like to sing and dance together as a family?
Well, it was our jam for a long time, and when it came on in the house or in the car, we always had a dance party. The Blurred Lines was our jam, man. That was our jam.
Nice. Describe the perfect family vacation.
5 of us living a month in Europe in June.
Nice.
Is the perfect family vacation for me.
First time I heard that. Awesome answer. Very unique. I love it. What was the first thing that popped in your mind the first time you heard your song on the radio?
Oh, you're talking about way back in the day?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the first time I heard the Hold My Hand on the radio, me and Dean, our bass player, Hootie's bass player, my best friend, we were driving in his blue station wagon, and it came on the radio, and we turned the station. So, yeah, I don't. It was like, wow, they're playing us on the radio, but I don't know. It was weird. It was really weird. We were like, wow, we're on the radio. We have to turn it.
Nice. Nice. And lastly, was there? I mean, there's probably a lot just from when people hear your music, the influence that maybe people had on you and musicians. But was there one artist or band that kind of inspired you to become a musician?
When I was a tiny kid, there was 3 Al Green albums. I mean, I'm talking about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
There was 3 albums. If you put them on, I would stand in front of you and your friends and do a concert for you, singing those Al Green records. But he was the guy that made me want to sing. Yeah. One of the truly saddest days in my performing life was the day my voice started to change. I realized I wasn't going to be able to sing those Al Green songs in the key anymore. That pressed me.
Sorry, that whole thing about Al Green kind of turned different, but you know what? I'm glad your voice changed because you have a great voice, and just want to say thanks for taking the time to talk about fatherhood. Continued success with everything you got going on, and you got a new tour going on with your album Southern Style. It comes out March 31st, and again, continued success with everything you're doing.
Thank you, man. Great talking to you.
All right, you too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Life of Dad show. You know where to find us, lifeofdad.com, and on Twitter and Facebook.
No Asian food.